Master Remit, in partnership with Bittersweet, makes sending money to Africa simple, fast, and secure. With competitive rates, instant transfers, and 24/7 support, we make it easy for you to send money home anytime, anywhere. Join thousands of satisfied customers who trust Master Remit for their transfers, knowing your money is in safe hands. In collaboration with Bittersweet, Master Remit, transfers made simple.
Sticky?
I just think it's just like, yeah, at that point, man, go to church, brother. You know, like find a woman there, man. It's all about information. It's just like a lot of us or people that have already done the laps and to explain the tweet. Like, I'm a musician, I'm an artist, and I still to this day am trying to get to master my craft and level up. How can I get better at, you know?
What?
Liquor.
What's up, guys? It's your girl Wintana, and you are tuned into the Bittersweet podcast. And today, as you can see, guys, the set is looking a bit different. Your girl is not in Melbourne, okay? I'm in Sydney. And the amount of slander that I like on this podcast specifically, not slander, but I throw shade to Sydney. So it's funny that I'm here, but I'm here doing some podcasts, guys, like linking up with the people in this city, which is nice. It's very different. Studio, it is stunning and everything is set up so nicely. So big shout out to the team. Thank you guys so much for organizing all of this for me. Today's guest is a long time coming guest. We spoke about last year, I would say. We were trying to tee something up and we managed to do that now. So today we have Sydney-based Nigerian-Australian artist B-Wise in the building. What's up?
What's up? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, sis. You well?
I'm chilling. I'm really good. I have some things that I want to let the people know who you are.
Okay.
So you've been in the scene since 2013. Yep, creating music since then. And B-Wise has been acknowledged as one of Australia's most influential rappers. He's toured with international stars including Amine, Larry June, Schoolboy Q, Vince Staples, Freddie Gibbs, J-Rock, and of course, most recently, hip-hop legend Ice Cube.
Yeah.
Shout out to you.
Thank you.
That is a lineup.
Yeah, it's been experience.
Yeah, that's amazing. How was touring with Ice Cube recently? He's a legend in hip hop.
Man, that was a surreal one. That was a surreal moment. And thank you first of all for the introduction and
of course.
I'm actually glad to catch up with you. I've been keen for this one, like you said, since last year to link up. But yeah, I mean, touring with Ice Cube was it was a surreal moment because obviously it's someone that I looked up to, you know, definitely is, you know, he's a hip hop legend, you know, recently rock and roll Hall of Famer as well and all of that. But
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow,
so it's amazing. And I mean, hearing his music, obviously watching him growing up, you know, when I was a teen and just sort of like seeing what he did and the doors that he opened, and then from that to cinema to film, and you know, like Fridays was still like one
iconic.
of my, you know, it's
one of the most iconic movies.
I think it's one of everyone's favorite films, right?
Yeah.
And
it's a film you can put on at any time, and you're just like having the best time.
Anytime. And I think, you know, actually, funny enough, it was my mom or my sister sent me a text, and they're like, "Remember, you used to watch Friday like every week."
Yeah, that's crazy.
And like to gone to not just meet him, but then also go on that tour and get the nod from his team, and that it was amazing. So yeah.
How was it like talking to him, or just
man, it was an interesting interaction, if anything, actually, because I usually just try and lock in, do the work, you know, show up and just play my role. You know, the production's about, you know, him, so I just come off what I do. And then I got to meet him towards the end. So, you know, one of the team put us together, and we got to just have a quick, brief interaction. It was good. I gave him his flowers,
of course.
what he's meant, you know, sort of to me. And he just like, you know, said, you know, so you've been, you know, tearing up those stages and killing the stage. And I just, you know, I told him just from you. So
shout out to you though. That's a like huge accomplishment.
Yeah,
and
thank
like
you.
Obviously speaks to your talent. Do you ever get nervous when you're there and you see, because I can imagine there are people that I look up to or like I think I just like are very inspirational. And if I was to ever like sit down and interview them, obviously it would be the dream, but in my heart and soul I'd be freaking. Do you get that feeling?
I get like, do you mean nervous like before the crowds or to meet that individual?
To meet the individual.
Yeah, I'm not nervous. Like I just try to, like, I just got to be myself, you know.
Yeah, of course.
but I do get a bit like, oh, okay, like when's the right time?
Yeah.
And we actually, there was actually a moment where it was just like, the bigger the artist,
Yeah.
the more the team and the more there's going on
There's a
backstage.
lot
So
happening, yeah.
usually, like, I mean, these days, when you're touring with acts, like, for example, like when I was with Amine or with Larry, they're like, that one's just an easy interaction, you know what I mean? They'll probably come to your room or if anything. But when someone, like, you got to remember, Cube is like this huge star. So there's X amount of people. So it's just like, when's the right time to say what's up? And then I'm just like, all right, cool. But eventually someone just was like, yeah, I'll do that. Let me put that together kind of thing. So, and then when you meet them, it's all chill. And
It's
we just
calm,
have
like once you have that because they're just people as well at the end of the day. But you're right, you just got to go in as yourself.
Yeah, when they're a good person and, they show love, that's when, you're just being yourself. And then after you walk away, then you might, collapse in the hallway a little bit, be like, ah! And then, you just pick up your composure, you go back to the dressing room, and then
you just get it together.
But I won't lie, that was one. It's very rare instances that's happened to me, and it was probably like when I think when it was Cube or when I met Skep, and then I was just like,
I would have been like,
man. Like, but everyone else is just kind of like, what's up, cuz, like, what's your number? Easy,
Oh no, that's amazing. All right, before we get into the actual episode, I like to do a little icebreaker. Before everyone, so are you ready?
I thought
for this
we
one?
broke the ice.
This is another icebreaker.
All right, let's go.
So I went through some of your tweets.
My
And
tweets?
Yeah.
Is my Twitter still up?
Your Twitter's active.
This is not Threads, is it?
No, this is your Twitter.
Bruh,
You
alright.
on Threads? I should have checked your
I'm
Threads.
on Threads. I stopped using Twitter, aka X, a while ago.
X. Yeah. I
That
don't
place
know why
got dark, bro.
Yeah. But it's weird now as well. Like, it's different. It's not the same vibe.
It's dark. I was just like, I can't be on here no more. Like, I think I don't even. I'll show you.
Are you active on Threads?
I'm active on Threads, but if you got a tweet,
but now I've got your tweets.
If you got
I
a
should have went on because I'm on Threads. I'm not active.
I want to explain myself.
I'd be stalking people.
All right, let's go.
Cool. So I want you to explain it. Like, there's nothing crazy, but let's talk about it. When you're an independent artist, make time to be on top of your admin and business the same way you'd like to be on top of your studio and creating your art.
100.
Talk about it. Because you were just saying now.
I just said that to you, didn't I?
Didn't you say? You were like, when I get off,
I mean what I say. I'm not playing. I mean it.
But it's a real... Do you feel like a lot of artists lack that? Where they're just kind of focusing on creating the art and this and don't really have that business mindset as well? Yeah.
For sure. I mean, it's not... And I'm not going to say it's necessarily their fault or anything like that. Being... Some people are really true creators, like to the point where that's all they can do, like all they want to and all they really can do. Not everyone has that skill set.
Yeah.
So, but again, like, if you don't have a skill set, you try to like at least be mindful and say, okay, well, let me make an effort to try and teach myself this skill set. I mean, for me, like I do music, and to explain the tweet, like, I am a musician, I'm an artist, and I still to this day am trying to get to master my craft and level up. How can I get better, at songwriting, from a rap perspective, everything. But business as well is something that comes savvy to me as well. I grew up in a household. My dad was an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm doing, like, this is something I do full time. This is my business. This is my livelihood. So just saying to other artists, it's important to try and stay on top, of things like that. And what I was even saying to you as well is because I'm wearing multiple hats. I am an independent artist as well. So I have a manager, I have, a small team and all of that, but it's like I'm also orchestrating my show. So so if I'm on tour, like, for example, that's when, all right, the artist hat is on, I'm locked in there, I'm focused on the performance, I'm focused on grabbing content while we're doing it, you know what I mean, so I can share what's been going on.
Yeah.
And so by the time you get back home, your inbox is just like this, and there's other stuff that I left. So, you know what I mean? I got to get on top of it.
You're constantly doing things. No, I fully agree with this one. I think, like, as someone who is an artist or someone who just loves their craft, even if it's not art, I know people that are doing things in, like, sport or even podcasting and whatever it is. You can love what you do, but if you can't equally balance it with all the other side of things, you just don't grow. You actually don't. Like, you're just producing and not putting it out. Or, like, you could be putting it out, but you're not thinking of savvy ways to connect with people and this and that. So I agree. Yeah. I just wanted to hear what your take was on that one. Sure. All right. Another one was, I don't put all my business on the web. That's sticky, bro. talk
Straight.
about it, because
Yeah.
you're an artist, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like now in the age of like we're kind of in an oversharing time, right? And you kind of have to be more than just, I think back then it was easy to just be a great artist, have a great aesthetic, and people loved you, right?
Dear Lord.
But now
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I personally connect more to people when I see their personality. If
Yeah.
I see an interview, if I see how they are on social media, something that makes me be like, oh, I can relate to this person.
Yeah. Yeah.
How are you navigating that?
I'm getting better at it.
Yeah.
Right. Because I come from like an era of, you know, well, not to say era, but I mean, like, I just come from a world where, you know, your privacy is important.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not because you're hiding or something, but just more so like your life is still your life. You know, you don't want to give everything to people that you don't know.
Yeah.
And let's be honest as well, yeah. I'm not to say grim, but there's a lot of monitoring individuals out here, bro. There's a lot of monitoring. So I just want to, you know what I mean? Like, and if you
A lot of people that just watch.
they just watch, but they'll never like
support,
engage with you,
yeah.
never like, but they're just seeing what is going on. And sometimes as well, like, you know, this is you know, where my dad, I'm Igbo, so like
I was
when
gonna say,
so
you-
we have this like, you know, traditionally as well, you just got to be careful sometimes with everything you're putting out. So I grew up in that world as well.
Is it more like evil eye and all that stuff you're talking
Not
about?
like the
or
evil
is
eye,
it-
but just not everyone has their best intentions in
Absolutely,
heart. So
yeah.
you always got to just be careful about what you're putting out. That's where I think that sort of initially came from. Look,
Yeah.
we're older now. We live in a social media age and everything like that too. And I've grown up with social media. So now it's like, okay, I'm comfortable with like showing more elements of who I am, what I'm about. I'm getting more, you know,
Yeah, you're getting
more
comfortable,
comfortable
yeah.
with like, okay, expressing my opinion. Sometimes I didn't think that people wanted to hear my opinions except the people that are actually around me. I didn't, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's just like, well, I have to like, if I have a platform, maybe I can voice certain things or help. So if I'm going through something, I want to help someone if I can. So yeah, I mean, just like, but to answer your question, it's not, I'm getting much better at bringing people and trying to show who I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even being here with you and having a conversation and things like that, you know, it's important.
Yeah, people want to see the personality,
Yeah.
but I think you can show personality
Yeah.
and not show everything. Like, I think there
Yeah.
are ways you can be, because there are some people that I follow and I'm like, I love your content. I have no idea who you're dating. I
Yeah.
had no idea, like, I didn't know you had kids. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Or I didn't know you were divorced.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't know, because I think some people share parts of their life really, really well.
Yeah.
And it makes it seem like you don't really focus on anything else, because
Yeah.
you're like, oh, they're showing me all of this.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. Don't share everything on the internet.
Yeah.
But I think you need to share something.
That's it.
Yeah, there are parts of it
I'm
that
with you.
make people connect to you.
For sure. No, I'm
Yeah.
totally with you on it.
All right, last one is, this one was my favorite one. Where is it?
I really was tweeting, huh?
You are tweeting, but you stopped actually. So I should have went on Threads. Can you tell a person by the liquor they drink?
Yeah. I guess you can.
I'm a tequila girl.
You're a tequila girl?
I'm a tequila girl.
I
Could you
got
see that?
I got you. No, like, I could tell, as in, I think, is that the tweet? What tweet
The
was?
tweet was, can you tell a person
no.
by the liquor they drink?
So I think what I was saying in it, or trying to say, was when I know what I know what
when
you drink,
know what someone drinks,
then
you
I
can
know
tell.
what
So
time
what does
you are.
tequila mean?
Tequila doesn't like necessarily mean like anything wild, but actually you're gonna go to good taste and a different taste from others. Because so I just got back from LA and everyone just drinks tequila.
Everyone
I
drinks
think-
it. Do you know what
yeah.
it was? I can't lie. I went to New York in 2013.
Yeah.
2023, sorry. And they just drink tequila.
That's it.
So I'm like, now I'm drinking tequila.
Yeah.
And since then though, I've just been drinking tequila.
Do you like the blanco or the reposado or like the brown or the white
the
type?
which one do I like better? I do like.
Or you can have no preference. You can just
No, I have a preference, because it's like, but I switch. So I
Yeah.
feel like I feel like the white is easier to drink.
Yeah,
It's smoother.
Yeah.
But then you could tell I was drinking heavy. I went on a trip. Okay?
You went on when you're on a
And
trip
then it was
down
like
here,
I was able to tell. So I like the white because it was smoother. But then I had moments where I switched. But I would say the white.
All right. Are you like a moment drink, like as in the sense of like when you're gonna have a night, you're having a night.
Oh, when I'm having a night, I'm having a night.
You're tequila, so that's all right,
That's my
cool.
drink.
You're not a drinker during the week, that kind of thing.
No, I'm a wine. I'll have a wine. I'll
Yeah,
have a
okay.
red wine during the week, maybe.
We're
but
quite
like, I'm
similar.
not drinking. Also, I'm not mixing tequila.
You're having
I'm having it straight.
I think we're quite similar in that
Yeah.
regard. I'm been recently converted to tequila, but wines have been a thing for me for the last like 2 or 3 years.
Wine is nice.
Wine is
red
it.
wine especially.
Wine is it.
Wine is the one.
Wine is it.
Wine is the one. But then you can get a bit
I like a
crazy.
Pinot
Like
Gris.
tipsy, drunk wine is crazy.
No, I'm good. I can just go. Like, because I have a high. So I stopped drinking heavy alcohol, like hard alcohol, like about a year. So, like, as frequent as I used to. So I've already got a tolerance in a sense.
Yeah.
But not as good as I used to be. But it's just like, but wine, like if I'm on like a Pinot Gris or something like that, and I'll just be on that and I can cruise.
It's just it's smooth sailing.
And it's a good one too. I was cruising the whole way.
So what do you think of if you can tell someone that's a tequila drink? What are you saying? They're like a what? Because for me, I think tequila drinkers are a good time.
I think you're a good time. That's basically it. But you're controlled. Like you plan your moments. You plan your times. You know, like this is gonna be a night. That's our night.
This is gonna be the
and it's
night.
gonna be a vibe.
What about
tequila.
Hennessy?
Hennessy is that's. Hennessy is like, shout out to Hennessy, man. Hennessy drinkers, yeah, they're just the smooth operators, man.
Smooth operators.
Yeah, smooth operators.
Hennessy drinkers, I feel like it's different for girls and guys. I don't know. I think Hennessy can be crazy.
Hennessy
Hennessy's
can
you're
put you
giving a little
on-
bit unhinged.
Hennessy can put you on, smooth time, like, whatever.
I feel like Hennessy is like demon time. Vodka is unhinged. If you drink vodka,
Yeah.
you need to just stay in the streets.
Stay away from me.
Yeah.
That's like Hennessy will have you climbing someone's fence at 3 in the morning. Sorry,
Vodka
will have you climbing
you're
someone's
not,
fence at
you're
3 in
out
the
of
morning.
character.
Completely. I do not like vodka.
People who offer me vodka, I'm like, you are not like we can't associate.
It's like a gateway drink or something.
It's like you start
It's
with
like when you
vodka.
start-
We all started with vodka.
Yeah.
But it's
Vodka shots and
Do you know?
Smirnoff. Oh god.
Smirnoff. All right. Yeah, those are your tweets are funny. I need to get onto your threads next time I have you on.
Yeah, threads is I think we're more trying to be more informative. I think there. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into you. I want to talk about you and like you said you started in 2013 making music.
Well, to be frank, like I started writing, like that was the first time I put out my first song, like officially like on platforms. But before that, I was
You were
rapping.
already
Before
writing
that,
before.
writing songs, and you know what I mean. I was with a crew of my boys. They were called K1. We used to do our thing as well. But like as an artist by my own, that was like the first time I put out a song. But then there was like a gap between then to like 2015. So it was like a 2-year gap.
But it's from when you started releasing again.
Yeah.
Who were your like early influences of music when you were growing up?
Growing up, was Park, your Park Cube, Snoop, the Dog Pound, Corrupt, Warren G, like basically, bit of J, 50, the Game, Younger Game, documentary Game.
Yeah. Did you you grew up? So you grew up in Southwest
Sydney, yeah.
Okay, so what was like that? Like I read a lot about how that also influenced your style and your music. What was it like?
It was cool. Like I mean, growing up, so like I was a kid who actually moved around a lot when we were young. So basically by that, because my parents, at the time before my dad went into business for himself, he was a social worker.
Okay.
So he used to work with Aboriginal youth, and my mum was a nurse.
Yeah.
So they would just get positioned, like sort of places. This is when
around Sydney.
no, like outside of Sydney even. So like I was born in Sydney. We started in Milpera.
Yeah.
So, but when I was like 3, moved to the countryside, and then we got back here maybe when I was in year 3 or year 4.
Oh wow.
So then from then I was in Chester Hill there for a little bit. Then we
So
moved.
you were like a country boy growing up? Was it like that?
Not necessarily. Like it was just like it was a small period of time, but it was. Yeah, like we're in the country. My mum's from the country. She's a country girl, so she's originally from this. So like I do know like country is per se like as in outback, but that wasn't really like a good time for me growing up necessarily for me or my sisters because when you leave the cities and you're not white, let's be straight, like it's just different.
Even now it's like
it's still you know what I mean, like there's it's culturally different out there. So anyway, like we came back, but when we settled in Hoxton Park, which is like Liverpool area and that. And that was the first time like we'll finally like properly settled. That was from like year 4, year 5, and then did my high school years, teens, all of that, and and then as a young adult or like later in my teens, young adult, moved to Campbelltown area or Mount Annan, which is
still in that area, southwest.
That's still southwest, yeah. So it's just like 20 minutes further down the what we call the M5 or down the highway.
Okay. So what is it like? Because I'm, like I said at the start of the episode, I do a lot of Sydney slander out here. Like, not slander, but I'm always like, I don't get Sydney, I don't understand it. And I feel like as someone who's really grew up here, like, what was it like if you had to explain like growing up in those areas? What was it like?
Like where I was, like where we were in the area, and like in particular like Hoxton Park, Liverpool area. You know what I mean? That was where I felt like I found, was able to find my identity, and also like my friendship circles, because it was multicultural in a sense, right? You just mentioned off camera before you were in Bankstown, you know what I mean? Big shout out Bankstown. That's another area. Like you'll find different pockets of different cultural groups, from where, Asians, Africans, you know what I mean? Pacific Islanders, Latinos, everyone in Sydney, everyone's Middle Eastern, everyone's got their certain areas that they sort of congregate. I felt Liverpool had a real blend of everything.
Okay.
When I was there, so like that's what makes it special. Yeah. And you learn other people's cultures. Like my school was full of Italians, Filipinos, I should say. Like we had very small amount of African kids, and all of it. And so like you got to know a little bit of each other's cultures and all that,
I will say that is like one thing it's a bit different to Melbourne.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we have that. I grew up like in a city at the start, then moved to like early primary school, moved to like a very white area, but then my school was like the west side of Melbourne is more like the ethnic side. Yeah. And so my school was a mix. It was a lot of like, fillers. You had just like Asians in general. Black people started to come in, a lot Africans and stuff. But I do feel like you guys are more mixed. Yeah. What I noticed is Sydney almost has like a Sydney culture. Yeah. Whereas we are more like pockets of community that have our own culture within. Do you get me?
I get you.
That's how I see it anyway.
I get you.
Because when I've met people from Sydney, they're like, like they've got friends from different backgrounds, like everywhere. Yeah. I think we do, but we more stay within our communities.
That's interesting, yeah, because I feel like that is a Melburnian thing, and we have that mixture.
Like African stay together, Asian stay together.
One thing when I compare the two, Melbourne and Sydney, is that I find that in Melbourne, from the early years since I've been going there, I've always found though that I can, and I still to this day, like you can make lifelong friends, right? That that you meet as a young adult, and this is my personal experience, but I've met people where I've still talked to them and still friends to this day. Yeah. Where I feel when you come to Sydney we can be a bit cliquey in the sense of, and we do have the mixture of cultures, but it's just like, did we go to high school together, or did we grow up together? Like if you really want to build those like long lasting friendships, I don't know. Everyone's experience is different, but I find that that's how we can sometimes tend to be in Sid.
I've heard someone say the opposite. Okay. I've heard someone say Melbourne is cliquey because they came from Sydney. But for me, I think about it, I think because I'm born and raised in Melbourne, like a lot of my circles are just like people that I've just grown up with, or people that some have been like people along the way, like friends from work or something like that. Yeah. But we are like, I know my friends that are my friends now, we're locked in. Yeah. So it does feel like that. But I don't know. It depends on your experience.
Yeah, that's it.
But one thing I want to talk about is your collaborations. So I feel from just looking at your like work and the music that you've done, you've collaborated with so many artists. You had your album that came out in 2021, Jamie. Yeah. Yeah. And you had like Sampa the Great, Blessed, 1-4, Koji Radical, which is amazing. Like I think I want you to speak to it, but like how important is collaboration when you're in spaces like this?
It's very important, like for two reasons. I think on a ground level, or like on a domestic level where you are, you got to work with to build a scene or to build a community or whatever the case may be, you got to work with other great creators and other people doing good things.
Yeah.
I felt usually I also get better results when I work with other people, not just producers, but other artists as well. You know, and if we're in the same room at the same time making it, that's even better because we're feeding off each other's energy and creative styles.
Do you not work in the same room sometimes?
It happens. Like me and Koji's song didn't happen in the same room.
Obviously, because he's from London.
Because he's in London, and I was supposed to be over there at that time, but then COVID had happened, so we had to do that one by correspondence.
Okay.
But he still killed it. He did his thing. But yeah, it's very rare instances that they're not in the room. I try my best for us to be there.
To always be around each other.
But when you're dealing with a lot of international acts, if they're traveling or you're traveling, you kind of got to like find a way to make it work with that. Yeah.
Sometimes, because I wanted to talk, like, I mean, I think it's important too. I think collaboration in general, like even in like the spaces that I'm in, I feel like you grow, you have your community around you. Yeah. But also, you know, the industry is the industry. Yeah. And sometimes you're dealing with like a lot of egos, a lot of personality. I think people management in general is also really difficult. Like I opened up I have a studio in Melbourne. Yeah. And just taking in bookings and dealing with different personalities. Sometimes it gives me, I'm not a confrontational person. I've had to become like someone that is like very assertive and this and that, because people are they're not thinking the way you're thinking. That's one thing I had to like leave out the door, because sometimes you're like, oh, I wouldn't do that, so why would they do that? Or I wouldn't think this way, why would they think this way? But we're all very different.
Everyone's different, yeah.
So that's one thing, but also just managing different personalities, dealing with people in general, I think is difficult, and then dealing with people in the industry is also very difficult, because it's a space where you're all kind of here existing.
You know what? I don't even want to cut you off, but I'm glad you said that. Like, like this is Australia, bro. Like, why are we even got egos, and why are we behaving like in a way like I gotta walk in a room with aura? Like, bro, relax, man. Like when you're traveling and you're going to other countries, like if you are in the States or if you're in the UK, and you've probably experienced it in the States, like people are talking about collaborating. People are talking about.
Like the States is big on collaboration.
Bro, they're like, what are you doing? If they watch, how can we work? How can we get together? How can we, tee it up? Can we have a meeting at 8 p.m.? Can we whatever? And this is someone, and you go check their stat or whoever they are, and they're doing some huge things. Yeah. Meanwhile, you've got Joe Blow, someone here is just like, whatever, and they're behaving in a way. We need to like cut that, I think, from our scene, because we are in all facets. That's just my opinion, like, because I've seen it. I think I've been around enough to make a fair assessment, a fair judgment, of that. And I'm not even going to say that I was, that I myself was innocent of that. So like definitely early in my career, there would have been some people like gassing me up, and then I would have turned down opportunities that I maybe should have taken. Now that I've grown up a little more, and I can say, okay, then I didn't, you know what I mean? Because you're learning, but you need to go through this experience, and you need to study ego death. You need to look at yourself and say, okay, how can I do this better, and how can I be better? Yeah. And then when you do travel and see other things outside of, the bubble that we can be in sometimes in Oz, then you're like, okay, there's better ways I can approach and do things.
100%. I think it's the traveling, like leaving your space, because sometimes when you're just in your own bubble, I didn't travel anything last year, and I traveled at the beginning of this year. Yeah. Just to get out of because I'm someone that usually likes to leave at least once a year, Yeah. Just to get out of that space. I was so locked in Melbourne, and I left, and I'm like, we're really like this small speck, like, but you really, it becomes your whole world. Yeah. And so I don't agree with the ego thing. I think it's weird, especially because we're not there yet. We're still building. So it's like we actually all need to collaborate and support each other so that we can get to a certain point and actually become like recognized on an international level. But like it's also on the flip side of it, it can, when people are operating like that, it makes it harder for you to be like, all right, let me open up and let me be comfortable with these people and let them in, because I'm not trying to be played for a fool, or I'm not trying to be, go in somewhere and like be very open and transparent just to be let down or to be hurt by other people. So I don't know. I like to have friends. I think it's important to have people outside of the industry that that are just like your go-to people. Facts, and then the industry people also can be your friends. I've made some really beautiful people just in the space, like met really beautiful people in these spaces. Yeah. But then also, I think you just have to guard your heart as well and be careful, because egos are crazy.
I mean, the industry, just to add on what you've just said as well. Like, I mean, and industries and in however you see it, and like you said, I think you're always going to come across certain individuals and people where you're like, like this is someone I really connect with or can get on with. And even if you ever need help with something or something that you want to navigate, you can always call that person, and they're not going to gatekeep. They're going to say, hey, this is what you need to do, or who you need to go see. And then outside of that, just like, how you been? Like, how's things? What's
that.
good?
Yeah.
And that's the type of like, and it's very rare, but you do find those relationships, within an industry. It's like if you work a day job or whatever the case may be, you will find that one or two persons that you really get on with. But there's other people that I'm never going to hang out with that person outside of work. So it's the same thing.
It's
in
about
this
navigating
business.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I think everyone also just sees that as like, I think because we're such a small pool in Australia, it's like that feeling of just there's not enough space for all of us to be here. I think if we were aware of how much, I mean, it's true to a degree because of the way the country's set up.
Yeah.
I think so. But I feel like in the States, everywhere else, it's like the opportunities are more. I think there's just so much more opportunity.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's that whole like I don't want to share this or this and that, which is just not the mindset that you need to have.
You've hit the nail on the head.
But you learn to navigate it.
Yeah.
You always go in naive, and then you just get that that whiplash. You're like, oh, okay.
That's it.
Yeah. I wanted to also talk to you about the cultural shift that's happening in Australia at the moment. I feel like actually shout out to Book, who recently there's an exhibition happening in Melbourne at the Immigration Museum, and he like captured the Melbourne scene, not so much like everywhere else, but just the evolution of all the platforms that have come up. I guess like in the last 5-6 years, there's just been like a rise of like Black culture in Australia, and it's like you see people doing podcasts, you see people doing other production content, music, artists like everywhere, and it's so cool to see event spaces because it's just not something that we grew up on, and I feel like it's our generation that's creating it
For sure.
Do you feel like, as someone who's been like, you've been in the scene like creating music from now, I guess from the start of your career to now, do you still feel like did you ever feel like there was a glass ceiling for artists, like African artists or Black artists, people of color in Australia, and do you still feel like there still is since the rise?
There still is.
Yeah.
There still is. It changes. But I just want to go back on what you said, because like you doing this right now, like let me give you your flowers. Like this is amazing. Like this is what it's about. You know what I mean? More of us taking, creating media and creating more voices and more platforms for there to, enough to like to happen and go around and it adds to culture.
It does.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like I mean, that's the thing, and I've seen like shout out to so many like black Australian promoters putting on different events, running pop-ups, doing food stores, like you name it. Like
food is a big one.
Food is a big one right now. Like we're getting coverage across, and before we didn't really have much visibility, right? And even when I came into doing music as an African Australian, there wasn't many people that I could identify with in the scene that, either doing the same thing as me or whatnot. But to say though, yeah, look, I think there is a bit of a glass ceiling, and I think there should definitely be more conversation, because I'll give you an example. Like we just mentioned before. So I was spent last year traveling just for creative development, networking, recording, whatnot. So did London, did Lagos, did LA. So the big L's.
Yeah.
So, but one thing that all these places have in common. But let's take out Nigeria because it's a given. But like London and Los Angeles, what they have is we have similar societies, right? And if you look there, particularly in like when a lot of events, let's even just say with hip hop culture or R&B or whatever the case may be, these scenes are also led and also by Black creators, Black artists who add to the culture. And one thing that's a little bit different here in Australia is we're here, but we don't have as much visibility as that.
Yeah.
So I think there definitely needs to be more conversations around that. And look, speaking from experience, like you just mentioned it before about opportunities. This is a small country, still, a growing country. And what you find is, artists are fighting for opportunities across the board, festivals, there's not as many festivals are having to cancel or reschedule. Media platforms, going what they're going with. There's more artists like today than there was 5 years ago. So, people are trying to fight for positions on streaming platforms, playlists, all of it.
Yeah.
And people are just fighting for visibility. And so for black artists, I find that there's so many great artists doing their thing right now and also getting started and are trying to get their start, but they're fighting for opportunities, or we're being pitted against each other.
Yeah.
And there's, certain element which is it happens. There is an attempt for inclusion, but there's also things happening where there's box ticking.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay. And then people are fighting even for those opportunities, and it's just like, it's tough. So again, there should be more discussion. But one thing I would also say, and why I give you your flowers as well, is like, instead of being part of or complaining about the problem, be part of the solution. All right, cool. We ain't got shows, we ain't got festivals. Let's make our own.
Let's make our own, yeah.
But
then there's the question about like, okay, how's that going to be sustainable? Because then it's like, okay, the funding, the way that like it can be scaled. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like you look at what's happening. And I appreciate you giving me my flowers. And I think there's so many other people out there that are doing the same thing. They're killing it. But it's always like, all right, cool. Where are we going to be? Where are we going?
Yeah.
What's this going to look like? Because you look at other places and it's like, all right, they've got maybe the backing of like an established brand, or they've got people that are like behind the scenes that are going to help them scale it.
I'm
and
sure. Yeah.
all of those things, right? So it's like, at some point, where do we go? Like, what do we do?
That's information. It's all about information. It's just like, the thing is that I'm not just speaking about myself, but there's a lot of us or people that have already done the laps, have already fallen over, have already taken the blows, have already like taken all the hits, so that the next generation of people can have the information.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, that's why collaboration is important, not just on like in a sense of like in music or whatever, but also in business, in conversation, in networking, and saying, hey, listen, like, I admire what you're doing and I see what you're doing. Like, how can I have a few questions and I'm looking to do this. How can we work? And so that also comes to a space of where it's like, okay, well, we have to really work as a community and also work together and share information.
Yeah.
Because without information or knowledge, where's the power?
Where are we going? Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's for even funding. The government have just had to give us. There's grants going around right now as we speak in each state for different enterprises, from events to creative creation.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know these grants are happening.
Yeah, I know. People
I didn't either, but
at the beginning of everything, I didn't know anything. I didn't even know someone, like, people. I was blessed enough to have like people, just single people, just like drop in my life and just give me like tips on how to do this, how to put a deck together, how to do this, how to do that. And it was just a blessing. But I know that if I didn't have those people, I wouldn't have been able to like achieve this much, even just the community, the support of people I had around me. But you're right, it's just about like knowledge, and it's knowledge. It's complicated though. I think that there's other parts to it as well. I think there's
what part do you feel is complicated? Let's break it down.
What part do I think is complicated?
Yeah, or what do you feel is a challenge in regards to it?
Like sustainability. That's always been my thing. Like, how do you sustain something? Because a lot of the times when we're talking about the black community, it is like either one-man teams or like people and their friends or people and their group of people doing it who are not skilled. Like, we're learning all the skills ourselves. We're figuring it out as we go. So I think that in itself is what makes it really hard, because you're like, all right, I also still have to sustain my own life. I have to, mind you, it's like you're doing all these things. You're not necessarily always getting paid to do stuff. You're just doing it.
Yeah.
So at some point it has to make sense, because the hours you're putting in need to make sense. Otherwise, you're like, I got to live my life. Like, I have
you got responsibilities.
I got responsibilities. I
it.
have a level of life that I want to live. I have family that I want to support. Like, I've got all these things. So it's like, how do you build a like sustainable career? Like, I think first of all, identify what you're trying to do. Is it a hobby? Is it a career? And if it's a career, that's what makes it like, that's what is kind of making it difficult, because you can't just, I think there's knowledge, but it's like, okay, so now what do we do with that knowledge? Where do we go? And how do we actually turn turn this thing into practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think I agree with you fully, and I can talk with you in a sense that like that I've been in that position, and why I'm saying is because it depends. Like, look, what like right now as we're doing this, I mean, yes, something you can say, okay, I'm going to give it a try. That's the first step. I'm going to try.
Yeah.
I'm going to make an effort to do it, and I'm going to give it my best ability. And sustainability, where that comes from, is like because we do have real life things, right? So we got to work, we got bills to pay, we got rent to pay, we got family help out, whatever the case may be. This other thing may not be bringing in yet, but it's. I feel like if we take an approach of where it's like mindset, right?
100%.
So it's just like, okay, where I work at this spot, that is my investment. So that's to take care of my responsibilities, and I'm also taking a portion of that to create, to invest into this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And then eventually, as you continue doing your thing and having passion, or anyone out there is creating and having passion and building as much as they can, we're all learning as we go.
Yeah.
But
and building as we go.
Yeah,
I get
eventually one will
that for
take
sure.
over,
You need to be like, you definitely need to be resilient as well, and you just need to be like, you have to think long term for sure, and you have to love what you're doing. For all of it to kind of work and to tie in, because it is a huge investment. So I understand when people are like, because it's like, I fully get it, and I can have conversations about like, you have to have like the right mindset, you have to I understand that, and I truly believe it, but I also like love to acknowledge the other side, because I know it's the ghetto out here sometimes, you know what I mean? It's a real struggle.
It's
tough. But I can understand like why people eventually feel like either like glass ceiling, like I tap out, or you have to leave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you have to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
To create or like to grow or whatever it is. But that's why I think it's a sticky one.
It's sticky.
But I think it's good to go to other places and explore and see what they're doing.
And you get inspired, and you know what I mean, and you bring, but the more of us to do that, like, because at the end of the day, this is still a great place to live, and we bring back more ideas, and we bring back with us as well. So
and we grow with our community too here.
That's
at the end
it.
of the day. So what's new? What can we expect from you moving forward? I know you've been working, you've been touring, you dropped a single as well.
Yeah.
So what else can we expect?
So yeah, I mean, right now I'm locked in trying to do my third album. It's in a place, that the structure is basically there. We've got this like we've got so many songs, and I'm just like, I've chosen like which ones, okay, this is what it is, just filling in the gaps, and that's why just been sort of doing it in different places. So focused on that, definitely just rolling out the singles, rolling out content, and building businesses this year. Like, that's what I'm focused on doing, and so that's currently where I'm at right now.
I love it. What advice do you have for young people coming up?
Just make your plan. Form the plan of how you want to do it. Just write it down first. Just write it down, type it down, whatever the case may be. So you've visually told yourself, or you mentally told yourself, okay, this is how we're doing it. Yeah. And get started. Just get started. Because I mean, always as well, like, everything costs money to do when we're trying to do it at the start. So I mean, it's just about, though, there is ways to do it. Our phones are like money earners without us, you know what I mean? Even trying. But I think the main thing is just to get started, to do it with people that you love and who are on the same wavelength as you as well. And research as much as you can. Like, everything is available, like on YouTube, audio books, all of that.
There's
you know
all
what
the
I mean?
information's out there. You just gotta look.
All the info's out there. So just get started and research and just make it happen. Once you've taken that first step forward, you've already, like, you're in a better step than you were yesterday.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. Before we wrap up this episode, I have one game we called. I'm gonna give you this.
I saw these. I was like, what's
these
what
paddles here?
All right.
So this game is called Bitter or Sweet.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give you two scenarios. Yeah. And you vote bitter or sweet.
Okay.
Bitter meaning you disagree, and sweet meaning you agree.
Okay.
You got to point
I do
at
have
your
to
camera.
point at the camera. All right, bet.
Okay, cool. So first one here, bitter or sweet, matching tattoos with your partner. What?
Bitter.
I'm gonna say sweet. Wait, why?
Because I don't know, like.
You think it's corny?
I think that is corny, bro. And I heard as well, like, and I was actually saying, is it true, like, when you get a tattoo with that partner, it's like 95% gonna fail or something?
The relationship?
I heard that.
Where?
I don't know, online.
Studies like
Maybe
what
on
research
Twitter.
did
I
they
heard
do?
on Twitter.
Maybe on Twitter. Yeah, we don't do
X.
Twitter anymore.
Nah, that.
That is crazy. Okay.
I don't like. I know I'm not fully against it. Like I think it is. There's a cuteness to it, but I feel like you know.
You're not into it.
Nah, not me personally.
I feel like a cute little, like a little wrist one, or maybe like where your ring finger is kind of cute. I mean, you can just remove it. You know what I mean? If anything goes, I would never do like a big tattoo
Nothing.
or a face.
You know what? I'll do it with, and I did talk about this once with my sister. I'll do it with a family member.
Yeah,
Because that's blood, and I feel like, okay, we share blood, so we can share some. But it's
some
just
family
like,
members beef. Like some beef is heavy.
that's true.
And then what? We're still blood.
That's true. You know, that's true. They say blood is thicker than water, isn't it? Yeah, whatever. But I mean, that's true. Yeah, that's true. It just depends, I guess, which family member that you're
You're like the
to.
ones I know that
You know,
are
you got your
locked in,
ones that are locked in, and you got your
Yeah.
some distant ones. You're like, hey.
I feel like you can get one that's like, if you get it between the finger, apparently it rubs off eventually.
Yeah. Anywhere hands.
So
Period.
is it because it's corny, or because you're like, this? I don't want to do something permanent with someone that, like, there's no guarantees here.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's just like, I don't want to put like a marking, something permanent. Yeah. With another person, if I, like, just I don't need. Let me say that I don't need to physically have something on my body to show my relationship with that person. You know, I've got them here in my heart.
Okay.
I keep them in my mind, and if you're married, you keep them on your finger, whatever the case may be. So, yeah, I think that's enough for me.
Fair.
Yeah.
Next one is bitter or sweet clubbing in your 30s.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all right.
I'm gonna say sweet, but I'm also gonna say like here.
Yeah, actually.
Because I feel like the way I club.
You know what, you're right.
You know what it is? It's like I'm on the cusp. You know what I mean? 30's not far. I can see her.
Yeah.
And like the way I club in my 20s, like I told you, I don't go partying all the time. Yeah. But when I'm outside, I'm outside.
Yeah.
I feel like I can't be. I consider myself I'm a fun girl. I go outside with my friends. We have a good time. Yeah. I don't think I can be the fun girl at 30 like that. I think, okay, respectfully as well. I feel like maybe it's because of the way I see myself. I don't know if there's layers to it. Yeah. Like if you're 30 plus, or like let's say like you're 32 in the club, like the way you were the way you were like 25 in the club. I feel like you can't be doing that.
That's why I think we're both like have just said we've come to this part.
There's levels to how you can be, but you can club.
Yeah,
you can have a good time, but it's like every weekend. I don't think so.
No. So that's why I'm with you. I think it's like it's just got to be what's the intent.
But then are we just backwards though?
No, like I don't think so, because like I think we again said off camera. Like I said, I don't really go to a club as much anymore. It's the intent. So it's like, oh, we've had some wins, or that who you're going with. Yeah. Or like you're going with. Or the girls,
like we just want to go out like randomly, a good time
with your team and who you're close with, and it's just like we want to get ourselves a little section. Remember, like in your 20s, when it's like we're at the bar, like fucking waiting to try and get service.
The stories I have
in your 30s
20s.
is different. You're clubbing different. You know what I mean? They're bringing bottles to you. You got that whole different situation.
Yeah.
It's like cool. This is a nice one-off night. Boom.
We're gonna have a good time.
Proper good time. We're not here even looking for a man or a woman. We're just here because we want to be here and just enjoy music and life.
But can you be looking at 30 in the club for a man or a woman?
For a guy, I don't think it's. Yeah, I think
it's sticky.
I just think it's just like, at that point, man, go to church, brother. Like find a woman there, man. Like
it switches up,
if you're looking, if you're looking in the club at 30s, man, it's a bit weird.
It's quiet.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not gonna fully back that one. I hear it, but I feel like sometimes I've heard some stories like girls have like a one-off. They went to the club, and she met her man in the club, and now they're out of the club.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It
worked
happens.
out. It can happen, but I'm gonna put it here.
Okay, we'll go like
that.
We'll do this together, yeah.
All right, that's it.
Bittersweet, yeah.
That's all the Bittersweets.
Right.
Thank you so much, you guys, for
Thank you
jumping
for
on.
having
It's
me.
been blessed to have you.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys again next week. Peace.